My ex-wife and her boyfriend mocked me in court until the judge revealed a legal twist that left them in tears. I'm 36M and my now ex-wife Jessica, 34F, was the love of my life until she decided to destroy my life from the inside out. We had been married for 8 years, built a life together, and most importantly, I trusted her completely. Biggest mistake of my life. Jessica didn't just cheat on me, she betrayed me on every possible level. She didn't just have an affair, she had an entire second life behind my back. For over a year, she had been seeing a guy named Ryan, 38M, a sleazy, wannabe entrepreneur who somehow convinced her that she could do better than me. And here's the kicker. She wasn't just cheating with him. She was planning our divorce long before I ever found out. Jessica and Ryan had been strategizing how to take me to the cleaners. While I was working to provide for our future, they were planning how to gut me financially and run off together, laughing all the way to the bank. She had slowly moved assets into her name, played the loving wife while secretly funneling money out of our joint accounts, and had already secured a high-powered divorce attorney before she even broke the news to me. And when she finally did, she blindsided me. I came home one day, and half our house was empty. She had already moved in with Ryan. There was a letter on the kitchen counter from her lawyer, outlining all the things she was demanding in the divorce. Half of my business, the house, a ridiculous amount of alimony, my car, even my damn dog. She was confident she had outplayed me. She had the lawyer, the evidence, the setup. I would roll over and accept defeat. What she didn't know was that I had already figured everything out months ago, and I had my own lawyer working behind the scenes. I wasn't going to stop the divorce. No, I wanted every single piece of it to play out. I wanted her to think she had won. Because when that final day in court came, she and Ryan would be the ones left in absolute ruins. Before we get to the courtroom showdown, let me tell you what really set me over the edge. I knew Jessica had been moving money around behind my back, but as my lawyer and I started digging, we found something even worse. She and Ryan had been stealing from my business. I own a successful tech consulting firm, something I built from the ground up. It was legally structured as an LLC with me as the sole owner, which meant, on paper, Jessica had zero legal claim to it. But here's where she screwed up. She had been skimming money through fraudulent invoices, fake payments disguised as vendor expenses that were actually funneling money into a hidden account she shared with Ryan. It wasn't a ridiculous amount, about $80 over the course of a year, but in the eyes of the law, that was embezzlement. And here's the truly insane part. Ryan helped her. Ryan, being the absolute idiot that he is, had set up a fake consulting company and billed my business for services that never existed. My accountant flagged it, and when we followed the paper trail, it led straight to them. So, instead of just fighting for my assets in divorce court, my lawyer quietly filed a separate fraud lawsuit against them both. I never told Jessica. I let her and Ryan believe they were playing chess while I was playing 4D legal warfare. Fast forward to the divorce hearing. They came in like they were royalty. Jessica had the most expensive lawyer she could afford, sitting next to Ryan like they were some power couple on top of the world. And me? I played the role of the defeated ex-husband perfectly. Slouched shoulders, quiet, barely responding, just letting them enjoy their victory. And oh, did they enjoy it. Jessica and Ryan didn't just smirk at me, they humiliated me. Jessica loudly whispered to her lawyer, "He looks so pathetic." Ryan chuckled and said, "Damn, man, you should have worked harder. Maybe then she wouldn't have traded up." Jessica faked a sad face and said, "Oh, don't be mad. You'll find someone less expensive." Ryan actually looked me dead in the eye and mouthed, "Loser." The judge wasn't paying attention, and their lawyer was letting them act like arrogant pricks. They thought they were untouchable. And that's exactly what I wanted them to think. The courtroom was their playground, or so they thought. Jessica and Ryan were still grinning like idiots when the judge started reading through the asset division. The court finds that the marital home shall be awarded to the petitioner, Mrs. Jessica Parker, as per the agreed terms. Jessica threw me a smug glance, as if to say, "See, you're losing everything." Ryan actually stretched his arms behind his head like he was sitting front row at a comedy show. The judge continued. The court also finds that a division of assets is necessary, and as per the request of Mrs. Parker, a claim has been made on the respondent's business for equitable distribution. Now here's where things got interesting. Jessica's lawyer stood up, all confidence, and started talking about how she had been instrumental in the emotional support behind my business, that even though she wasn't an employee, she contributed to my success. Total garbage, but legally speaking, courts can sometimes award a spouse a percentage of a business, especially if they help with finances, decision-making, or administrative work. She was trying to argue that my business was a marital asset, which meant she'd be entitled to half of it. I could feel their victories swelling. Ryan nudged her, barely holding back a laugh. But that's when my lawyer stood up. Your Honor, while we respect the petitioner's claims, there is a significant issue that must be addressed before any further financial division can take place. The judge raised an eyebrow. Proceed. My lawyer pulled out a thick file and calmly handed copies to both the judge and Jessica's legal team. This document contains evidence of fraudulent financial activity directly impacting the respondent's business. Specifically, we have found multiple fraudulent invoices, embezzled funds, and financial misrepresentations involving a shell company under the name of Mr. Ryan Dawson. Silence. Jessica's smirk froze. Ryan? He stopped breathing. Jessica's lawyer grabbed the file and started frantically flipping through the pages. She had no idea what was happening. Meanwhile, I just sat back and watched. According to these records, over the course of a year, the petitioner and Mr. Ryan knowingly issued false invoices totaling over $80,000 from the respondent's business accounts. As you can see in the attached banking statements, those funds were rerouted into a joint account under both their names. The judge's expression darkened. Counselor, are you telling me the petitioner committed financial fraud against her own husband's business during the marriage? My lawyer nodded. Yes, Your Honor. And given the nature of this fraud, it directly negates her claim for any stake in the business. Furthermore, we have filed a separate lawsuit for damages, including full restitution of the embezzled funds. Jessica finally snapped out of her paralyzed state. What? That's a lie. That's not. This isn't real. Ryan, the brainless idiot, made it worse. You can't prove anything. We never signed. And then he just stopped mid-sentence, realizing he had just admitted to being involved. The judge turned to Jessica's lawyer. Does your client wish to dispute these allegations? Jessica's lawyer was completely pale. She leaned over and whispered something to Jessica, probably telling her to shut the hell up. Too late. I decided to twist the knife. I leaned forward and, in the calmest voice possible, said, I hope that house was worth it. Jessica's face turned pure white. Ryan? He was sweating bullets. But I wasn't done. Your Honor, my lawyer continued, in light of this evidence, we are also requesting an immediate forfeiture of spousal support, as it would be unconscionable to award financial benefits to an individual who actively engaged in defrauding the respondent. The judge agreed. Jessica was getting nothing, not my business, not my money, not a single cent of alimony. But it gets worse for them. The judge wasn't just angry. He was disgusted. Given the severity of the financial misconduct, he said, I am also referring this case for further investigation into potential criminal charges. Embezzlement is a serious offense. Ryan visibly gulped. Jessica? Tears. Full-blown panic mode. No, this isn't fair. I didn't know. The judge wasn't having it. You and your partner knowingly engaged in fraudulent activity. The court will not reward such behavior. Furthermore, as the fraudulent transactions involved company funds, the respondent has full grounds to pursue civil damages. I sat back and let the realization sink in for them. Not only was Jessica walking away with nothing, but she was now facing the very real possibility of a lawsuit and criminal charges. And Ryan, the upgrade she left me for? He was on the hook too. The second the judge finalized the ruling, Jessica Parker snapped. No, this isn't fair. He can't do this, she shrieked, slamming her hands on the table. Ryan Dawson, her smug, arrogant boyfriend, wasn't looking so smug anymore. He was stone silent, staring at the judge like he could somehow will the decision to change. The courtroom officers had to escort them out as Jessica kept screaming, while Ryan just stood there, looking like he was replaying every bad decision he had ever made. I walked out calm, victorious, and completely free. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 3 months later, I got a call from my lawyer. Turns out, after reviewing the fraud case, the district attorney decided to pursue criminal charges. Jessica and Ryan were officially indicted for embezzlement. Ryan got arrested at his apartment. Jessica, she cut a deal. The moment she realized she was facing actual prison time, she flipped on Ryan, claiming he orchestrated the fraud and she was just following his advice. Ryan took the full hit, 18 months in prison and full restitution payments. Jessica walked free, but she was completely bankrupt and had to liquidate everything just to avoid her own charges. Last I heard, she was working a minimum wage job, living in a tiny apartment, and had zero social life. Ryan filed for bankruptcy from prison, and me, still thriving, still free, and still smiling. Justice served.